the Big Pond 300, the 7th round of the V8 Supercar Championship. And welcome to a weekend of punch and counter-punch from our top contenders here. Mark Skaife has come here to the very backyard of his arch-rival Marcus Ambrose with a fistful of fast times throughout the practice and qualifying sessions. The question is, does this man have the knockout blow? Will it be Skaife? Will it be Ambrose? Will it be somebody else who has the edge?
Everybody's looking for the edge. That extra speed, that extra something, anything to stop the streak. Marcus Ambrose is on target for 5 straight wins, and this is his home track. Maybe that's the edge Ford needs to keep the streak alive. There's so much on the line. It's no wonder everybody's on edge. Round 7 of the V8 Supercar Championship on your home of motorsport, Network 10.
Queensland Raceway is 55 kilometres southwest of Brisbane. This is the 7th time the V8 Supercars will have raced here, mostly over a double driver 500 kilometre format. Today, back to single pilot, 300 kilometres. That raises a few questions about fatigue or wear and tear on both man and machine. 32 starters, 96 laps. They must complete 72 of those before the race can be declared. Back to 2 compulsory pit stops for tyres and fuel. Mostly fine today. A possible shower, that's always possible here at Willowbank, and a maximum temperature of 22 degrees. A fantastic crowd, both Ford and Holden pouring in. They've been here all morning. Take a look at the championship points after round 6. Not much has changed at the top. Jason Bright still leads the championship without winning a race or a round. That's the reward for consistency. And we talk about the edge. Overall, Holden has the edge. They've got 6 races so far. They lead 4-2, but in poles, well, Ford has 5 poles after Marcus Ambrose did it again. His 3rd of the season, his 3rd straight at Queensland Raceway. We welcome Neil Crompton once again as we take a look at the track map, a 3.12 kilometre circuit.
Afternoon, Matthew, and this track may look simple. I can assure you it is not. Very difficult to set up for. 6 turns with a top speed of 250 kilometres per hour. Relatively smooth except for a couple of places in turns 1 and turn 6. Lap record held by Garth Tander, qualifying record by John Bowe, and the man that takes us for the best backseat drive of this racetrack is Holden Racing Team's Mark Skaife for the hot seat. Lining up to start a lap. There's the control tower. On the left, over the bumps. Down to 4th. On the rumble strip on the exit of 1. Little bit of brake, watching for turn in oversteer. Corner goes on and on forever. The drivers want to get on with the throttle. The car won't do it. 4th, 5th, and briefly 6th gear. 250 Ks. Hard on the brakes. Couple of little pitter-patter bumps, then a biggie. Down to 2nd. Brake and trail brake all the way into the middle of the corner. Can't afford to have oversteer on the exit. It's the left rear tyre that gets punished around this track. Braking marker on the right on the approach to 4. Down to 2nd gear again. Up to 3rd for turn 5. Drivers always want to crack the throttle, and it's hard to do that round this track. 3rd, 4th and 5th gear on the approach to turn 6. Back to 2nd gear, no messing around with shift by shift. Car beautifully online, right on the white line, gets its power to the road. And that is a lap from Mark Skaife, who has recorded the fastest lap of the week so far at a 10.3.
He's been a man on a mission, hasn't he? Let's get into pit lane and check out with Rusty what the latest is. Greg Rust?
Well, I can tell you, Matty, there's a lot of stuff happening down here in pit lane at the moment. Simon Wills, he won here in the 500 last year. He knows what it takes to do it. And this morning came off his 3rd shootout of the season. Paul Radicic has passed arguably more drivers than any other in 2003. And this morning he too contested his 2nd shootout in as many rounds. Incidentally, his teammate Dean Canto responded to the pressure of potentially losing his job 2 rounds ago to score his best qualifier of the year right here. And finally, Paul Morris. Boy, oh boy, they wheeled that brand new car out of the transporter this week, and what a jet it's been in the top 10 in every session, but they have had some dramas with it. They've had to replace the clutch before the action got underway today. Darryl?
Thanks, Rusty. Well, it's halfway through the championship, and Stephen Richards maintains second position, but starts from a rare 29th today. The team have been playing with the engine still on the grid now, but yesterday they had a rare failure with that Holden Motorsports engine. With a change overnight, he managed 12th on the grid this morning in the warm-up. Well, the team's strategy today is going to play an important role in moving Stephen Richards through the field.
All right, Darryl and Greg, thank you very much. They'll keep us updated throughout the course of this 300-kilometre race. And remember, 2 compulsory pit stops, so it's all going to go down heavy in pit lane. Marcus Ambrose, as we take a look at the starting grid of our full 32 competitors, will lead us off. Skate second, Morris third. That's his best qualifying performance of the year. Russell Ingall in fourth. Then it's Simon Wills, Jason Bright, Greg Murphy, Todd Kelly, John Bowe and Paul Radisich rounded out our top 10.
And good to see David Bernard finally with a VA Falcon completing a set of 3 for Ford Performance Racing. He's looking forward to performing well in this new car.
Down to Rick Kelly there, and we move through to see Stephen Ellery in 17th and Max Wilson in 18th.
Who's having problems starting his car on the grid at the moment. And Garth Panda with diabolical handling issues with the Valvoline Cummins entry this weekend. Car 34 down in position 19.
Mark Larkham in 20, and in position 21 is his teammate Jason Bargwanna.
Bargwanna will be the last man in an AU for the Orcon Racing team this weekend. I should say he's got a B8 coming for Oran Park.
And we move to the rear of the field. You heard Darryl Beattie talk about the positioning of Stephen Richards. He's not on that page, he's on the next one. 29th, quite clearly his worst qualifying performance of the season. He's been in 4 out of the 7 shootouts, but not this one. David Thexton qualified here. He'll be our 32nd starter. So, crystal clear conditions, and it's single file around turns 4, 5, and then finally 6. And you can just feel it starting to build up, especially between the blue and red corners of Ambrose and Scaife. Stephen Ellery will be on board with him for the Super Cheap Autos car. Richards, well, he's got to be favourite for the Hard Charger Award for today if he can mow his way through the field. We know he's got the race pace. We know he's got the smarts about him. He's got a whole lot of experience starting from way back there. Greg Murphy, yet again, they've had their troubles off the track. We'll talk a little bit more about that as the race moves on. Stephen Johnson, the Shell Helix Racing, number 17. Remember that victory that Junior Johnson had here with Paul Radisich back in 2001 when it was all settled in the ditch in the rain. Hopefully we won't get a repeat of that. One of the big questions here is fatigue and how the drivers will cope with 300 kilometres. I know for one that Russell Ingall has predicted mayhem, and already we can predict a little bit of trouble for Max Wilson. He's been forced to come in. He'll start from pit lane, but not yet, because we're about to get underway for the Big Pond 300. Scaife against Ambrose. They resume rivalries at the front of the grid, and they're going 3-4 wide mid-pack down to turn 1 where the big bump is, and already a bump between the red and the blue. Scaife and Ambrose contact into turn 1.
And Bowe got a shocking start and had his ears boxed in the early couple of metres at the start of that race. But Scaife draws first blood and gets to the first corner first, and that's an important blow for him.
Around turn 2 they go. A couple will go wide and just dip into the dirt on the left-hand side. Up to 250 kilometres down the back straight. This is the tricky corner, turn 3. There's a lot of bumps on the entry into turn 3, and quite a few people go spearing off there throughout these races, and we've already seen it in practice and qualifying. Up to turn 4 and 5.
Richards opting to go around the outside of people as they bunch up down there at turn 3, which is a smart move in the early part of the race. He'll make some ground out of all that. Rick Kelly battling with Craig Lowndes. It's a long way, 300 kilometres, the Big Pond 300, on a track notoriously tough on the left rear tyre.
Turn 6 completed for Scaife and Ambrose. The top 10 goes through. A big puff of smoke out the back of the Stone Brothers Racing duet of Ambrose and Ingall. A standing lap, 1:17.605 for Mark Scaife. We'll let them go past and check out the race order after our first lap of 96 for the Big Pond 300. There's your Shell Helix race update as Greg Murphy goes on the inside and smoke. Oh, that could have been disastrous. But Greg Murphy manages to hold on to his position, and he gets past Paul Radisich.
Radisich just locked up a little on the way into 2. That's made him vulnerable now for Lowndes, who's up on the outside. And if you can get far enough up, you can take the ground off the other guy on the exit. But Paul hangs on. You do not want to be wide out there where Bernard is at the moment because of the amount of rubber build-up and dust on the edge of the road. It's very hard to get front grip in the front of the car.
So Scaife, Ambrose, Ingle, Morris, Bright, Wills were your top 6 as they crossed the line. You saw the battle between Murphy, who slipped sliding around. Let's check it out from the start and watch this for contact between Scaife and Ambrose. There's a little touch right there. It almost derailed Mark Scaife completely. Ambrose held his nerve and held his line and got through in second position. This is the view from Russell Ingle's car.
You see Mark coming across, he got the better jump and he was determined to get to the race line by the time they got down to the inside at 1. A little bit of biff and barge, but he had plenty of car in front and he was able to get away with it. It was interesting looking in the background of the previous replay shot, and we saw that Bow actually was all 4 wheels in the grass at the start. Darryl?
Well, Max Wessel, frustrating times for him. The team had to push start him at the start of that warm-up, Neil. It wouldn't start with the key, so the official said, bring him in. We want to see this car start with the key. So now the mechanic's working on it, trying to get it to start.
So some sort of a starter motor issue has still got that car in pit lane, and that means that the rest of the day is done basically for Max. He may get out there, but he's not going to be a factor at all with 2 laps already booked in this race.
And that's 2 strikes for Max Wilson here at Queensland Raceway. He qualified 6th here last year but didn't finish. Simon Wills now, Todd Kelly all caught up in this bunch. And look who's there as well, Greg Murphy. Wills gets the rears right out heavy on that turn, and Todd Kelly is not letting go.
Oh, Murphy's going to take an advantage here because Todd found himself on the wrong side of the road when they went up to turn 6, and so Murphy grabs a spot. Wills was really battling in turn 4. He had the thing all crossed up and sideways, and it's just weird sometimes how luck of the draw can have you in the wrong spot at the right time, or conversely, it can occasionally work for you when weird things happen when the pack is so tightly bunched. 1:11.8, the fastest man on the road so far for Russell Ingle. 11.9 apiece for Scaife and Ambrose. So Ingle's running with them. Morris a good start in 4th, then Jason Bright. And then this battle here as Murphy now is ideally positioned to get up the inside if he's strong enough under brakes, and he is.
And that'll take Greg Murphy up to 6th position.
Oh.
Contact between Murphy and Team Dynamic. Wills goes off. David Bernard almost follows him deep, heavy into brakes at turn 3.
Hard to work out what exactly occurred then between Wills and Murphy. It looked like a clean pass, but maybe Murphy understeered wide under brakes at the end of that stop. Now we'll get another view of it. Here it is, Strathfield replay. So what happens here? Greg gets crossed up. He locked the rear brakes, and as he applied the opposite lock to the steering, it carted him into the path of Wills, who then got dragged out into the dirty part of the track and then went further wide off onto the grass.
1:11.7012 now belongs the fastest lap to Mark Scaife. So Ingle's time there on lap 3 has just been erased by Mark Scaife, who leads him out from Ambrose, Ingle, Morris, Bright, Todd Kelly. There he goes. Then it's Paul Radisich and Craig Lowndes in 8th position after just missing out on the shootout. He qualified 11th, missed out on the shootout, and now he's starting to work his way up through the field.
It takes a couple of laps to normalise the tyre pressures and the tyre temperatures. And so we'll start to see people now getting into a rhythm. They've got through the initial hurly-burly in the first couple of laps where everybody argues over their little square inch of real estate. And then you can draw a breath and say, OK, where am I? What now? How do I get into a rhythm? How do I look after the rear tyre? It's not so much wear that's the problem here, Matthew. It's just overheating it, working it too hard, expecting too much from it. And if your car's weak in other areas, in particular with turn, as the pit window is now open, and Max Wilson's mobile, which is good news for the Shell team. The problem is that you tend to want to stand on the gas to try and make up for your deficiencies by being quicker on the exit of the corners, and of course that does the rear tyre no favour at all.
Another lap down, 11.4 now for Mark Scaife, so he's lowering the times lap by lap. We had a shot there before of Garth Tander, who is now in 11th position, so he's climbed up 8 from the start.
We're probably going to see some pretty speedy race times here. We've got a little bit more cloud cover today than we've had in the last couple of days out here. It's beautiful weather in southeastern Queensland, and considering the stage of the race that we're at, it's a pretty smart times. 11.4 as you said for Scaife, 11.6 for Ambrose, 11.7 for this man, Russell Ingle. Morris is just drifting a little bit now, 11.9. You're getting an idea from these onboard shots of just the lumps and bumps in the road here, which are growing year on year. There's a few more bumps on the approach to turns 1 and 6. A little bit bumpier into turn 4 now as well. This is the approach to 6. See the little ripples in the road. You can see where tyres have locked up and just studded across the road there and left little marks. It's the margin first to second, second to third. Bright's got a good watching brief going there. No pressure for him at the moment.
There's the brand new VY Commodore with the Holden Motorsport engine aboard for Paul Morris, who couldn't be happier with the performance of this car, even though they've had their hiccups throughout the weekend. Morris went spearing off twice in the warm-up this morning, and as Rusty mentioned, had a broken clutch plate throughout the shootout, which he managed to finish in 3rd position. The reason why they didn't fix it was A, they didn't really know what it was. They probably didn't have enough time. Now they've fixed it, ready for race, and Paul Morris is in 4th position. Behind him, this man, Jason Bright. Car number 5, who qualified 7th, made it up to 6th in the shootout.